Hey, what's up, and welcome to the AIN Networker podcast. This podcast started because myself, Dan McCabe, had a question. The question was, how do you build a big team fast in network marketing? So I asked a good mentor of mine, Dr. David Pietsch, who is a Hall of Famer, 250,000 customers in his downline, tens of thousands of representatives, and he just started spilling the beans. Started telling me everything, not just what worked in the past, but what he is doing in the future to really grow and build his business. I said, hey doc, this needs to be a thing. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, we're gonna turn this into a podcast. So here it is, the secret straight from his mouth into your ears. Whatever we can do to help you and the industry grow is what we're here for. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Let's get started. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the AIN Networker podcast. So we are relatively new, but we are gaining some traction. We're having fun. So I appreciate you guys being here. And more importantly, I appreciate Dr. David Pietsch, my co-host, and joining me on these episodes week after week. How are you doing today, Doctor?
Rock and roll as usual. Dan, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. So it's been fun because, right now the people on iTunes, they're seeing, hey, we got 4 or 5 episodes up there, but people are starting to download it, starting to gain some traction. It's fun to watch. I believe that the messages that we're sharing, the experience, your experience that we're sharing is just so valuable. So I'm glad that we're getting it out there. So cool. Well, I know a lot of things have been kind of going on, and I wanted to revisit this pandemic. So as we are recording this episode, some of the states in the U.S. are just starting to open back up post-pandemic. So let's start with during the pandemic. So you have a large team. So just without you doing any research necessarily, just watching your own team build and grow, what has the growth been like during the pandemic?
Well, it's so surprising, Dan, because it's probably the most we've ever grown since my first year, 13 years ago. What's happening is we're finding that the new reps that we get started, when they reach out to their top 10, top 20 people, they're pretty much getting access to all of them because we're all at home. And, we've all mastered the Zoom technology, the presentations on Zoom. We're doing them a lot faster, so we get to the end faster, the yes or no faster. And we are having unprecedented growth on our team. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of knew the answer of that, but I wanted you to share it with the audience here. And I mean, I've been watching it, I consider it to be some of the best reality TV on Facebook right now. So many people posting such negative things on Facebook. I just like watching the team growth and watching what you guys are doing, and the other Dr. David on your team and everything that he's crushing right now and how well he's doing. Just like every other hour, it's welcome this person to the team, welcome this person to the team, welcome this person to the team. It's fun to watch. And it really is. And it's interesting that we have this access to these people right now, that you guys have all of this access to people. They make their top 10, 20 names list. They do their first Zoom. They do their first launch presentation, whatever it is. And people are actually showing up. So that brings me to what I really wanted to talk about today is, and this is going to just be speculating a little bit and us speculating on how do we think it's going to change as states open back up and as people start going back to work? What do you think, or what do you see on the outlook at this point?
Well, I mean, as we're recording this, here we are towards the end of May. Dan, you live in Minneapolis. I lived there for a long time. I know that the people in the Midwest are dying to get outside for many different reasons now. So the normal cooped upness of being in the frozen tundra is amplified by a ton just because everybody's been sitting around at home for the last 60 days. So what I think is going to happen is people are going to get out, start living their lives, and it's going to be more difficult for us to set appointments to show them, what we're doing. So we're really trying to take advantage of the opportunity that we have here right now. But on the other side of that, I would simply say this, that there are going to be so many people that are looking to make money because so many businesses are going out of business, and so many people are not going to have jobs now going back. And it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. I think that this is the tip of the iceberg, and I think it's going to get real, real, real bad real fast. So again, that's great for us in network marketing.
Yeah, it's gosh, I can't remember who said it, but never let a good crisis go to waste. Who was that?
Rahm Emanuel.
There we go. So and that's kind of where we are at right now. Is you're right. I've been looking at some of the statistics around here, and in Minnesota anyways, the hospitality associations are saying that they expect 50% of their members, restaurants, hotels, to go out of business because of what's going on right now. That's a lot of people looking for work. In addition to that, I know there's some smaller restaurant associations that work with like the smaller independent, like higher end restaurants, which we have a lot of in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. We're a very foodie state, very foodie metropolitan area, but they expect 80% of those smaller mom and pop niche restaurants to go out of business. It's crazy. And that's just the restaurant industry. Granted, that's going to get hit, probably close to the hardest, but the Postnet, I don't know if you have Postnets in Vegas. I would assume you do, kind of like a UPS store. The Postnet where I get my mail, they went out of business. I mean, it's just insane right now how many people really are, and they're going to be looking for something. And for those people that created those brick and mortar businesses, just kind of carrying on your point here, but those people who created those brick and mortar businesses that spent that $100,000, $250,000, $500,000 to open their doors the first go around, they're still entrepreneurial. They still need to do something. They still need to make money, but they are going to be really, really hesitant when it comes to the idea of relaunching and putting that kind of risk and exposure back behind them again. So what do you think about that? I know you own a big chiropractic business once upon a time. Would you want to be starting one of those post-pandemic?
Dan, what I think is going to happen is there's going to be so many more people like me that just absolutely resist authority. I'm a network marketer for the sole reason that I became a chiropractor because I wanted to be my own boss. I was thinking about going to ophthalmology school. I'm at the University of Minnesota. I'm pre-med, and I hurt myself playing football, so I started going to the chiropractor. I'm thinking, man, this guy's got his own shop here. This is awesome. I'm going to do this. But what I realized in chiropractic is it's not what I thought it was, because I was a slave to the insurance companies. Send them a bill, they throw it in the garbage. Send them a bill, they deny it. Send them a bill, you don't have this little modifier on it. And I just got so sick and tired of dealing with them. So that's why network marketing was so appealing, because I just am my own person here. Nobody's telling me what to do. And you just look on social media how there's just so many people that are just shaking the fist at the government and this whole situation, which is truly disgusting. Their response, is there a virus out there? Sure. Has it been blown way, 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 way out of proportion? 1,000,000%. It's disgusting what has happened out there. But with that being said, there's going to be a ton of people that when we come to them and tell them that you can make money truly from home, real money from home, never have to leave your house, can just do it on Zoom just like this, because we've proven that. In the last 60 to 90 days, we have had so many people start our teams, rank up, and make real money and have real success that it's changed. I was talking to the doctor that you were talking about, Dr. David, on my team, and the old way that we used to do it is gone, and we're never going back to it, because we've just learned that we can show so many more people using technology than we ever could have in the past. So I'm actually really excited, because I understand what's going on for me in my business, and I just think there's going to be a ton of people that's going to be so attractive to.
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to start getting people from different walks of life too. I would say, one of the biggest mistakes that so many network marketers make is that, and we've had these conversations before when we talk about going after professionals, and we call it whale hunting or shark hunting, going after the big fish, going after the chiropractor who's already making a lot of money. Like, how do you go after those people? A lot of the mistake a lot of people make is we're always going after, I don't know a better way, but there's like the bottom feeders of kind of the industry, the wannabe entrepreneurs, the people that are kind of dreamers, but they don't have the discipline to really go out there and build a business. Right now, there's professional people entering this world that want to go and build something and are going to be much more open-minded than they maybe were 6 months, 12 months ago. They're going to be willing to listen a little bit faster. And actually we had an application come in not long ago, I remember, and it was from a guy who was a dental, it was like a dentist sales rep, like sold medical equipment to dentists and things like that. Those are the people that are like interested right now in doing something different. So it's really interesting. And the way business in this world is changing, it's going to be, monumental. They're going to be teaching this in elementary schools in 25, 30, 50 years. what happened during this period of time. It might even get its own period name, the Corona period that we need to deal with, and how it completely shifted the economies and shifted the way people do business. I've got really good friends who've got fancy corporate jobs in downtown St. Paul with a really big corporation that most people probably would have heard of. And they are already saying that they don't plan on having their workers come back to the office. They've got a high rise in St. Paul, and they don't plan on bringing back 90% of their people. I mean, a certain amount of people may get laid off, but for the most part, they're going to tell everybody to work from home. Like, they're just changing the game completely. So super interesting for our industry. I could see what you were saying around Minnesota. As soon as they raise the limitations on this pandemic and summer comes around, people are going to scatter. The masses are going to scatter to their cabins and everywhere else that they like to go. But at the same time, I think it's going to be a different summer. A lot of times in Minnesota anyways, and you can tell me how it is in Vegas or in other parts that the industry would always slow down because people would scatter for the whole summer. I think now, this summer, there's going to be enough people that are hurting enough from the jobs they lost, the opportunities they lost, to where this isn't going to be a summer of play for them. It's going to be a summer of figure out my next move.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I had a friend of mine over at the house yesterday. He's a very big wig at a very prominent nationwide chain of gyms, and he's furloughed now, and he doesn't know whether they're going to be able to come back at any capacity, whether he's really going to have a job or not. And this is a sharp person. And, I just think that people like this, they're so tired of getting jerked around. I mean, even if there wasn't the COVID crisis, I mean, for a person like that, you come into the gym, you work here for a while, and then you either get promoted or demoted. You have to go to this location. You got to move all the time. Just no stability in life. I think that we as network marketers, like especially someone like me, being in the same company 13 years, building a big organization, having 10 years of time and money, and people sit back and know me and they watch that. That is so appealing to so many people right now, and especially like him. He's like, dude, I am just cranking it up. I am absolutely going for this, and I might have to go back and work for my company starting at this time. And he goes, I have this many days up until then to really get up and get after it and get my income up, so I don't even have to go back to that job. So I think you're right. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are almost starving to death because their income has been chopped off. And when we know the numbers, I mean, such a high percentage of people live paycheck to paycheck that, like one of the things I always did, Dan, when I lived in Minnesota was I tried to work really, really, really hard in the summer, even though everybody else wanted to pull back a little bit. And I think that's why I always kept the momentum going, because I poured the gas on in the summer. So there's enough people that are hurting that will absolutely happen. So these are very interesting times.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been, we mentioned the people that, companies that are closing, the business owners that are losing their businesses, but I guess we didn't really touch on the number of people that are losing jobs. There's a lot of people that got laid off, furloughed within their companies, just like your buddy that you were talking about. Their companies, especially the corporations, they continued operating during the pandemic, the stay-at-home orders, and they started realizing what they could accomplish without the entire team or staff that they had previously. Maybe they're coming back to less business, but some of these companies aren't. Some of these companies figured out, hey, we can click along just fine without having so many people. And some of those jobs are just going to be lost. And it's going to happen to a lot of people. And as that happens, those people need to figure out, their next moves, and they need to figure it out quick. I've got a big background in real estate as well. I don't do it as much anymore, but people are always asking me, what's going to happen with the real estate market and the real estate industry coming up here. And in 18 to 24 months, there's going to be, plenty of foreclosures, plenty of deals, because there's a lot of somebodies that just bought that $550,000 house they could barely afford in February, lost their job in March. And those are the same people. I mean, they got themselves, their lives to a point where they could afford that $550,000 house at one point. They're reasonable, they're resourceful, they work hard, they're focused, but they don't have their job right now. And those are the people, the population, the opportunity with the amount of people, the amount of good people that are going to be looking for stuff. The people, actually, I heard you say this. I've heard this phrase a lot in my life, but it didn't make sense until I heard you say it once a few years ago. The enemy of great is good, right? So a lot of these people had it good enough to where they never stepped out of their shell and gave themselves the opportunity to be great. They had the proverbial golden handcuffs on to where they had this fancy job. It paid their bills. It got them a decent boat and a few things that they needed in life. But now they don't have that anymore. So I love that line, by the way. Yeah, the enemy of great is good.
That's from the book Good to Great, man.
Yeah, yeah, and and I've heard that phrase a million times before, and for some reason, I think when you said it, it was once upon a time. Like, and there's probably no way you remember this, but I remember it. It was at a very interesting live network marketing presentation in a dirty little Chinese restaurant in St. Paul, Minnesota. Maybe you remember it, in a strip mall. And I had brought a guy out there with me who was making 20 grand a month as a banker. And he was good, and you used that line on him. And I think he signed up even, but yeah, that's probably 3-4 years ago anyways, maybe more. But yeah, it was, but it made sense. I mean, he's making 20 grand a month. He was content with his life, where it was at. But, I also happen to know, and just, I wasn't planning on telling this story coming into this. We just talk and see where it goes. But I actually talked to that guy a couple of weeks ago because I was curious how he was handling through his bank job, all the stuff going on with the pandemic. And he had just switched to another bank, and his focus was on SBA loans, which run all the PPP loans that small businesses are getting right now, which the more we look into them, the worse of an idea that ever possibly was. But he was running all those, and he was busier than he'd ever been. He was making less money. He was working his tail off. I mean, those guys were working 14-hour days every single day just because of all the volume going through the SBA.
Yeah, I mean, to me, those are the, if a person's sharp enough to run the bank and make $20,000 a month from some sort of job, I mean, that's a very high-speed person. But they're just not smart enough to see that just do it for yourself.
Right.
You got to have courage, but go do it for yourself, and give yourself an opportunity to make $20,000 a week. I mean, you make $20,000 a week, you're almost at $1 million a year. And you're a self-contained person, because the bank can tell you someday that you can't work there anymore, or something can happen and get ripped out from underneath you.
Right.
I've said this a million times since the quote unquote pandemic started. My life hasn't changed hardly at all. I can't go to the gym. Okay, so now I got to lift weights at home, super duper, and I can't physically go to church. I have to watch it online. Other than that, nothing is different. The money just keeps coming. It's taught me some things. I don't need to go to the gym as often. It's pretty far from my house. Saves me a lot of time. I get a lot more done now. I actually kind of glad it happened. And I'm spending a lot of time with my family. That's cool. But at the same time, we have cranked it up, and business is exploding right now.
Yeah, it's the pandemic definitely. I remember that the first week they started shutting things down. Everybody's kind of like tiptoeing around like, what's going to happen? But the network marketers, they just turned it up. And once they got into a rhythm, 2, 3, 4 weeks into it, it has been, fun to watch. They've just been going nuts. So that part's been really cool. And that's kind of why I wanted to record this episode today on what's going to happen afterwards, because it's all we can really do is speculate. We don't know what's going to happen in 2 months. I mean, I'm a little worried about what's going to happen if they do not open anything up for another 2 months. Then we'll see what we're dealing with. But it looks like we're kind of at that phase now where, at least in Minnesota, they're starting to transition and open up. Retailers and restaurants are to follow here in a couple weeks, but that plan's not very good here anyways. And you're in Vegas. Didn't they start opening up casinos, or isn't that happening here soon?
I think it's happening soon, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're starting to make that transition back. People are going to realize that we can live in society again. We can all sit around the same table without a piece of plexiglass in between us. And, we will come through this and we'll be okay. So, and as long as we get through that, that's why we wanted to have this talk here. But the overall after effects that the pandemic's going to have on people, economy, their jobs, are going to create tremendous amounts of opportunity for network marketers. And just, where is it? I mean, right now, there's a certain person that is working at home that is easy to target. And that's kind of what you and your team have figured out. In a couple months, there's going to be different people sitting at home. There's going to be people that lost their jobs. The messaging is going to shift a little bit, but that opportunity is still going to be there. And it's just getting in front of those people. It is paying attention to the restaurants, the clinics, the professional buildings, the businesses that are going out of business in the area, and just watching and seeing, what industries are hurting, and reach out to them.
Yeah.
especially
And
if you know people in
you're
those
much
industries.
more optimistic than I am. Your glass is half full when it comes to the pandemic. I see only things getting worse. I see they're going to, as soon as it gets cold again, which in Minnesota is going to be not that long from right now, they're going to come around with round two. I mean, like, I'm just getting reports back from Minnesota because I still have a house there. We're going to go there at some point, but they've already canceled all the summer sports for the kids. They canceled the Washington County Fair. I mean, just on and on and on it's going. And, we haven't even seen anywhere near the ripple effect of that. And then once it starts to get out there, it's going to happen again. And so I think that it's only going to get worse and worse and worse for the masses of people. And that's why network marketing is going to be so attractive, because, again, we are flourishing, and it's not just my company, it's network marketing in general. I have a lot of friends in a lot of different companies, and they are all crushing it right now. So as I look down the next year, all I see is more people raising their hand going, I need something. I need something that's paying right now. And that's where we come into play.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. I might be a little more optimistic than you are. And it'll be interesting to see what happens. I just don't think people are going to stand for it anymore. I mean, there's so many protests around here. Back in Minnesota, restaurant tries to open, attorney general shutting them down, the whole town coming out and protesting. Like, it's sooner or later, everyone's going to revolt. The sports thing, yeah, total bummer. And it's the effects that is having on our kids and everything else. It's such an interesting thing to navigate. My favorite thing to do in the world, maybe we've talked about this before, maybe not, but my favorite thing to do in the world is coach my son's baseball team. And so far they haven't completely canceled our season yet, but it's right there. I mean, right now they're like, well, we're hoping by mid-June to be able to practice as a full team and get 6 games in and maybe an exhibition, and that'll be it. And it's just like, it's not what it was, last
We've
year.
got Brent and Chanhassen, and they got 2 young boys, and they just had to inform them yesterday that their baseball season is canceled for the summer.
Yeah. They canceled. They did cancel all the in-house sports. I know all those are gone, but our traveling league, it's a private league, and so far it's also a for-profit league. So they're holding on because it's a business and they want to make money. But we'll see. So, anyways. All right. Well, I mean, this was fun today. I think we covered a lot of ground here, and hopefully it gives some people some perspective on what it is they can look for. There are opportunities in every economy. There's opportunities all of the time to go out there and build your business. It's just knowing where to look. Right now, the opportunity within network marketing is bigger than it has been in a long time. Anybody who's just the consistently negative person in your life because all they do all day is watch the news channels, that's not the person you need to be hanging out with right now, because right now there is so much opportunity to go out there and really build. There's so many people looking for something. They've got time on their hands. They're bored. They want to be a part of your community, your culture. They want to belong to something. They want to feel like they have purpose. And you have that. As network marketers, we all have that we have like right in the palm of our hands to share with people. So go out there and start sharing that message. So, all right, that being said, I'll let you wrap this one up, Doctor. Any last words where people should go from here?
Well, if you hear what we're saying, we're pouring our hearts out to you to try to help you, to get you to see that this is a viable way to earn money. And, in my opinion, it's the greatest way to earn money. You're helping people. The money's residual. You're a self-contained person. You don't have to worry about anybody saying you can work here, you can't work here. I mean, as long as you're following the, general guidelines of network marketing and not overselling your product and not making false income claims, you're not going to have anybody messing with you. And you truly can make money from home, and it can be substantial. I got my income to the point, on a part-time basis where I truly was making more money in a month than I used to make in a year as a chiropractor. That's real. That's a real number. That's real stories. And that, I didn't get any deal. I didn't come into the company with a deal, and I didn't, nothing special. I just got in, worked the comp plan. And so not everybody has to be a record breaker. Not everybody has to build a big, massive organization like I have. But for the masses of people, if you got your residual income $1 higher than your residual bills, you would be free and your stress level would go way down. And there's a piece that you can have if you can just have vision and just go make something happen. Just tie your name to something and just go build it. I mean, it's as simple as saying something like this to people over and over and over again. Dan, I just found what I've been looking for. And I thought of you, and it may or may not be for you. And if it's not, it's no big deal, but it is worth looking at. Do I have enough credibility with you to get 15 minutes of your life? That's it. That is your only job as a network marketer. Just show people what you got in 15 minutes or less and do it over and over and over again in your free time. it can take you to the life that you've dreamt of. So my advice, go thou and make that happen.
Sounds good, Doctor. All right, appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you next week. Hey, thanks for listening to the All In Networker podcast. Dr. David Pietsch and I greatly appreciate it. If you receive some value or you know somebody that would receive some value, please share this episode with them. We want to pick up the entire industry, help serve the entire industry of network marketing. We believe that when other network marketers win, we all win. So on top of that, if you'd like to check out some of our free trainings, you can go to allinnetworker.com. Otherwise, please just rate, subscribe to this episode, this podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd greatly appreciate it. And until next time, thanks a lot.